Lepo pozdravljeni, lahko začnemo z nekaj minutno zamudo, kot se pač spodobi. Lepo pozdravljeni, dobrodošli. Me veseli, da ste kljub vremenskim razmeram v tako velikem številu danes prišli na znanstveno-raziskovalno središče, na okroglo mizo, ki je namenjena razmisleku druge svetovne vojne na slovensko-italijansko-hrvaškem obmejnem območju. To je rezultat oziroma del nekega projekta, ki ga izvajamo tukaj na ZRS-ju v Kopru z drugimi partnerji, nekateri so tu danes prisotni, druge vam bomo še predstavili, o tem bomo še nekaj povedali. Na začetku pa mi dovolite, da nekako v en širši okvir postavim to zgodbo, in sicer v to, da želimo na tak način nekako obeležiti tudi mi dan spominjanja na holokaust, ki se ponavadi to obeležuje 27. januarja, gre za mednarodni dan spomina, ki ga v tej obliki se ga želimo spomniti tudi mi. Un cordiale saluto a tutti, grazie per essere venuti, grazie per essere intervenuti a questo nostro incontro, che fa parte del nostro progetto Burnt in Memories, di cui diremo ancora qualcosa nella prossima ora, insomma, quanto saremo qui impegnati a discutere su dei temi che rientrano in quella che è ormai diventata un'occasione internazionale per ricordare la giornata della memoria della Shoah, dell'Olocausto, della Seconda Guerra Mondiale. Ecco, noi ne parleremo in ambito locale, in ambito comunque transnazionale, di come, cosa, quando e come è successo in questo ambito diciamo istariano allargato tra Italija, Slovenija e Croatia. Još malo na hrvatskom, hvala svima da ste došli na ovaj okrugli stol. Tu ćemo malo da govorimo o tome šta smo radili, šta još radimo na ovom projektu Burnt in Memories. Tu govorimo u kontekstu spaljenih sela u vreme Drugog svjetskog rata. And last but not least, few words in English, because the roundtable will be mostly in English, not only, so please feel free, all of you, to speak any language of these 4 languages, and I will make sure that everyone will understand each other. So in Italian, in Croatian, in Slovenian, in English. For practical reasons, I will most of my talk will be in English. But as I said before, feel free to express your meanings and your thoughts in other languages. This roundtable is part of the project named Burnt in Memories, led by the Science and Research Center of Koper, and is part of the project called Burnt in Memories, which is dedicated to an analysis of the violence in the Northern Adriatic region during the Second World War, and most specifically to the practice of burning villages during the Second World War. My name is Borut Klabjan. I'm a Marie Curie Fellow at the European University Institute in Florence and Research Fellow at the Science and Research Center of Koper. My colleagues here, I will just briefly introduce them. Gašper Mithans, he's also a colleague and research fellow of the Science and Research Center in Koper. Igor Jovanović is a colleague and researcher at the Istarsko povijesno društvo. I suppose the most common translation would be Historical Society of Istria. Marko Klavora, a colleague from who is working at the Regional Museum of Nova Gorica, Goriški muzej, and Giorgio Liuzzi. He worked on the violence in the Northern Adriatic region during the Second World War, and this is his book. Thank you very much, Giorgio, for bringing it to our library. Vanni from the University of Naples and Rijeka will join us in a few minutes, hopefully. Unfortunately, Kaja Širek from the museum, from the National Museum of Contemporary History from Ljubljana will not be able to join us. But we'll try to do our best with all of us, and I will be the one who will first go with the first round of questions. One question for each participant, or one group of questions, let's say, and you will have 5 to 10 minutes to answer and to comment my questions, and then I will leave the floor to questions and comments to the public. Torej, najprej prvi sklop vprašanj, vsak bo imel 5 do 10 minut, so tukaj prisotnih, se nam bo v kratkem pridružil še kolega iz Neaplja, ki bo pravkar prišel iz Neaplja, zato malo zamuja, ampak najprej prvi sklop vprašanj, vsak bo imel 5 do 10 minut, da odgovori na vprašanja, in na to bom drugi del, recimo, dal besedo vam in tisti, ki nas spremljajo po spletu, da seveda se lahko oglašate z vašimi vprašanji, z vašimi komentarji. Quindi, prima cosa, facciamo un primo round di domande a cui avrete dai 5 ai 10 minuti per rispondere per questa mia serie di domande che mi sono più o meno scritto, e quindi il primo giro di domande, e poi daremo la parola al pubblico per ulteriori per commenti, per domande varie. Sve jasno, mislim, da možemo da počnemo, da gremo v živo tega projekta, and I will start with the first question to the one who is in charge to lead this project, Gašper Mithans, and to tell us, in fact, what was the purpose of this project, because, I mean, now I spent 15 minutes to describe the project, but we want to know, I mean, what was the project about, and what about the results, I mean, the first results of the project.
Thank you, Borut. Welcome also from my side to all students, colleagues, guests, and of course viewers. As was already mentioned, this roundtable, today's event, is part of one of 5 activities of the European project Burnt in Memories. Firstly, if I sort of contextualize this roundtable, we decided to start this project, to choose this topic, because in fact hardly any research has been done in this field. Some local contributions of local historians, but nothing more. So not to boost, or not just to boost, this is the first project that deals with this topic, covering whole this historical region of Venezia, Giulia. I also like to emphasize, therefore, also its importance and and the need, the necessity for further researches of this topic. Our main goals are to produce enduring, long-lasting final results, and also with its presentation reach as much wider public as possible, especially the youth. Our other activities which we already organized were a seminar of oral history, dedicated mostly to the students, to show them another method of gathering oral historical sources, and the photo exhibition, which is now already, I think, on the 8th location or 9th? Ninth location. Something more Igor will tell you about, because project partner Istarsko povijesno društvo was also the leader of this activity, setting up the photo exhibition. But for now, I can say that the response of the public was very positive. So here's also today's event, which will be also later accessible on the recordings of it on our website. And I will also use today the opportunity to invite you to next our events that will be the openings of the memorials and presentation of the documentary. That will take place next month, mid-February, second part of February, in Dolina, Miren pri Gorici, Šmarje pri Kopru, and Žejane in Croatia. Now, when we are almost finishing the project, I also ask myself, probably we all ask ourselves, if we did open some new forum for sharing and preserving memories of these tragic events that occurred in more than 200 villages in this area. So the burning of the villages and other violence that accompanied that. I think that we're doing fine, but time will tell how successful we are and we will be. Another is the question of approach to this sensitive topic of war violence. And I think that our choice to be open and for everyone that wish to participate, whether that's a local community, organization, individual, and to share his or her story was quite fruitful, and also in the way that we don't seek to find some one and only historical truth, but rather to present how people dealt with these difficult situations. That's all from my side.
Thank you very much for this first information about. I have just a second sub question. What was your impression? I mean, are the people interested in this topic? Because my impression was that there's a huge lack of information about this specific topic, and as I can see today, I mean, as there is still a lot of things to do. I mean, what is your impression?
Well, the attendance on our event, I can say it was above expectations. Also today we gathered quite a large number. Yes, the response was very good. They also invited us to host that they will host our exhibition also in some other, firstly not planned towns. Yeah, so I think, yeah, for now we are satisfied.
Thank you very much. Let me just briefly introduce another colleague, Vanni from the University. Dulcis in fundo. But now I will not pass the word to you, Vanni. Not immediately. I will just pass the word to Igor Jovanović with the question about the material. I mean, in my opinion, you collected a huge amount, lot of material in every sense, from pictures to oral interviews, everything. So many informations, and they organized an extremely interesting exhibition. And this is I'm interested in what are the main findings of your research work. In my opinion, was your work package, if I can term it in this way, the one who worked mostly on sources.
Hvala lijepo, thank you for the invitation. Thank you for coming here from Koper. Thank you for the invitation to this project, because I'm coming from Pula, from Eastern Historic Society, and what we knew about burning villages, nothing. Nothing. And we were shocked. First of all, I'm teacher. I'm teaching history and Croatian language in one primary school. We still have the schools 8 grades, not 9. We are in the European Union, but we are 8 grades. We are smart. Yeah. And this project is logically second part of 1 hour project from Eastern Historic Society. It's called Istrian Destinies, Istriani Destini, Istarske sudbine, Istrians in concentration camps during the Second World War. And first, after the shock, we found this year, we found 25 victims from these burnt villages. We interviewed 25 people, and we have 84 more. But we passed only half of Istria. That's the people there. There are now 85, 86 people from 1930 to 1938. They were born in that period. And I'm working in primary school. I talk with my kids. You know, now we are in Koper in Istria. Koper is second largest city in Istria. My kids don't know about this. We have the borders in our minds. Istria is in Muđa Bay, the Finnish Muđa Bay. My kids don't know nothing about that. About villages. We detected over 130 villages burnt. We have the list from Koper, about 145. We have 47, 48 from Venezia, from this part of Italy. Milan Rakovac wrote it somewhere in 1997 that was over 400 villages. Nobody knows nothing about it. And what you said about package. My intention, our intention is through exhibit, through these oral history sources, through pictures. We don't have a lot of pictures because in Istria we had the poverty during the Second World War, and if something is burned, you don't have pictures. But okay, we have some pictures after Second War. We can do some reconstruction. We are historians. We can do reconstructions. That's the problem about reconstructions. And about this exhibition, we have a very good exhibition from these bird villages from Julijska Krajina, Venezia, Giulia. Now exhibition is in Pula, in our society, mostly is in schools. We have from Lipa, very good thoughts from Lipa, and in Istria, from Pazin, Žminj, Fažana, Medulin and Pula, about 200 kids saw that exhibition. And they were also shocked. Then, you know, everybody thinks we know everything about Second War. We don't know nothing about Second War. And it's a very big challenge. In the European Union, we don't say we have problems, we have challenge. We have challenges, and our challenge is to go on and to make some lesson unit for our kids in primary, secondary school in Istria, but also can be in Slovenia, Italian, Istria.
Sure.
Because of these sources, they are multi-perspective, and that's very good. Because of this commemorations, commemoration is not historical true. It can be, but it's not. Especially today. Especially today. And about interest of this exhibition, next we have in Nova Gorica in 21st of February. 21st of February, between that 1 month we have in Barban, that's near the Pula, in Barban, in Rovinj, and also from island of Krk. They are very interested. And also we are in some negotiations about our colleagues' organizations in Buzet and in the Buzet Buje in that region. What to say? I think in the end of this year we'll have over 20. It's minimum. This may be very huge. Here huge amount, but we will have or 20-25 exhibitions all over.
Where do the images that you found out came from? Are they private collections or
mostly private collections? We have something in our state archive in Pazin and Rijeka. We saw Pazin, Rijeka, and colleague Nikša was in Zagreb. In Zagreb, that knows because of political situation 1945-1947, but mostly from Rijeka and from Pazin, and also colleagues from Koper found lots of very good, very interesting materials.
Actually, in Slovenia, they are mostly from museums and archives and libraries.
Yeah, yeah, that was the difference. One more question. You're probably more into teaching, and this is our challenge is to, of course, to teach the pupils, kids, younger generation. But do, let's say, mid-generation, 40, 50 years old people, do they know?
Yes, this is the second generation.
Yeah, that's
second generation. You have the methodology how to work with the second generation. They know. They know mostly now when they are 40, 50, 55, because they are interested in history. When they were young, when you are young, who is interested in history? Nobody. Be honest, nobody. And now they, when they are speaking with their parents, and they want to speak, that's very good, because they want to speak about this situation in Istria from 1945 to 1944 and beginning of 1945, and we have a very big success in this second generation, because they're finding also the viewers, the witness of these burning villages and etc. Now, you know, in our country, everybody now knows everything about football, about history, and especially when you are not older, okay, something between, when you're between 35 and 55, I don't know, and we have support for them, and because our name, Istrian Historic Society, and when we are speaking in some Eastern village, what you know about, not village in your county, for example, Žminj County have 120 villages, and that's your country, that's your state. was that country something else? No, we don't know nothing. And that's regional project, and it's very good. That's interested implement this method.
So the regional dimensions interests a lot, much more than the national one. So this could be okay. Have you, just one more question? Have you found any memories, maybe written memories of some survivors
From the
Van villages, for example? No.
Yeah, we have.
Or letters mentioning.
We have only, I think, 2 letters.
Okay.
Only two letters.
Okay. So most of the sources are oral sources and pictures.
And newspapers.
And newspapers.
We have
Sure.
lots of anti-fascistic newspapers. Fascistic movement.
Printed. Oh.
We have 7, 8 different papers about 600 pages, and we found a lot of materials there.
Hvala lijepo. I think this is very interesting. Marko, no. I was thinking to go to Giorgio. Allora, una domanda adesso passando dalla violenza delle fonti. Now I'm interested in what are the forms of violence, the context of violence in the sense of were only burnt villages? I don't think so. So burnt villages were part of the violence during the war. First, and second question is why the repression was in this era was so harsh. Per dirla in italiano, quella la forma della violenza, del bruciare i villaggi, era solamente una delle forme della violenza. Dunque, qual è il contesto nel quale rientrano questa forma di violenza, quella degli incendi di villaggi? Questa è la prima domanda. La seconda è perché la violenza è così violenta, per così dirla, in quest'area, perché in queste forme così impressionanti perché? Ecco, questo che mi interessa. Giorgio, who is the author of this volume called Violenza e repressione nazista nel litorale adriatico 1943-1945, and it's exactly on this topic in the period of the Operationszone Adriatisches-Küstenland.
Sì, prima vi ringrazio per l'invito e mi scuso di non poter parlare in inglese. Come facciamo?
Sì, traduco io un po', a metà vediamo un po', sì.
Mi fermi?
Sì.
Allora, la prima domanda era il tipo di violenza, come si...
In quel contesto appunto si innesta questa specifica forma di violenza, quella degli incendi dei villaggi o comunque legata anche a altre forme di violenza.
Sì, diciamo che l'occupazione nazista nel nostro territorio, come anche negli altri paesi occupati dell'est e dell'occidente, ha varie faccettature, vari punti di vista, varie visioni. Lo scopo principale è controllare il territorio, pacificare il territorio, avere, possiamo dire, tra virgolette, il meno problemi possibili, controllare senza grossi problemi il territorio. E per attuare questo che cosa bisogna fare? Controllare e controbattere la resistenza e controllare la popolazione civile. Qual è lo strumento che utilizzano le forze di occupazione? È quello essenzialmente delle operazioni militari, dei rastrellamenti e quello delle rappresaglie. Questi sono i due elementi sui quali giocano le forze di occupazione. Operazioni militari di rastrellamento, di controllo del territorio nei confronti dei partigiani, ma che coinvolgono anche poi direttamente le stesse popolazioni civili. La rappresaglia invece che cos'è? Non è altro che una sorta di spada di Damocle che deve pendere sulla testa della popolazione civile, che deve temere le forze di occupazione e quindi non appoggiare la resistenza, e quindi l'unico strumento per controllare, per evitare questo legame tra la popolazione civile e i partigiani è quello del concetto di rappresaglia, la paura di una reazione da parte delle forze di occupazione. e queste reazioni non sono sempre uguali. Si passa dal fucilazione di civili, si passa alla deportazione di civili, oppure alla distruzione e l'incendio del paese. Quindi dipende dalla gravità dell'azione che viene fatta contro le forze di occupazione, dipende anche dal momento storico in cui stanno operando le forze, e spesso dipende poi dalla stessa decisione del singolo comandante che in quel momento sta facendo l'operazione. Che cosa fanno le forze tedesche? Danno una cornice all'interno della quale operano le forze dell'esercito come le forze dell'SS o le forze della polizia. La cornice sono ordini di controllo del territorio, dove viene detto chiunque si oppone alle forze di occupazione deve essere ucciso sul posto. Se ci sono paesi o popolazioni che appoggiano la resistenza vanno punite il più velocemente possibile. La punizione la decide il singolo comandante in quel momento dell'operazione, ed è lui che decide se dover dare una semplice, anche una cosa pecuniaria, cioè fanno delle requisizioni di cibo, di mangiare, di cibo, di risorse, di soldi anche, oppure se incendiare il paese o se deportare la popolazione, o addirittura fucilare invece esecuzioni di massa tipo quella di Lipa, insomma.
So I'll briefly summarize the first part of the answer, because it's only the first part, because I'm already interested in a sub question. This was part of a larger type of reprisal of the occupational forces, and it depends, of course, by on the orders of the chief military units, and to the last commander of the unit on the ground. Basically, it depends on this was as a reaction, or let's put it in how to translate Spada di Damocle, Vanni?
Much.
Damokleo match.
Sword of Damocles.
Is a form of psychological, let's say, construction or constriction of local population of not to support the resistance movement. And on this logic played the occupation forces, and but, and there's always a but, and this is my second question, is they were not very successful, because we heard there were hundreds of villages, hundreds of deaths. So I mean, the population were not, let's call it, calm after the first of two reprisals. I mean, they were really supporting the resistance movement. And so, what was the reaction of the military forces? Was just burning more villages? Questa è la mia domanda, che, come abbiamo visto, questa era la spada di Damocle sulla popolazione civile che aiutava insomma il movimento di resistenza. Come abbiamo sentito, ci sono centinaia di villaggi bruciati, centinaia di persone fucilate, deportate e così via. Gli occupatori, insomma, vedendo che questa politica di repressione non funzionava, come la vedo io, continuavano a usare gli stessi metodi, incendiando e fucilando, però alla fine non è che sono poi riusciti nel loro intento. Quindi non capisco la logica di questo, quindi questa è la seconda subdomanda.
Aggiungo una cosa su quello di prima, che dicevo, le rappresaglie non sono sempre uguali, e il tipo di rappresaglie variano da territorio a territorio. Facendo un'analisi tra quello che era l'Adriatisch-Küstenland, quindi quello che era un'unica entità territoriale, anche lì sono molto diverse. Ad esempio in Istria si operano più su operazioni molto vaste, grandi operazioni militari, con numeri elevati di persone deportate, numeri elevati di paesi bruciati, no? E anche di vittime naturalmente. mentre nella parte più occidentale del territorio, il Friuli Venezia Giulia, si opera più sui singole persone, si va a colpire quel gruppo, quella famiglia, quel piccolo borgo. Non ci sono grandi operazioni se non nell'estate del 44, no? E lì dopo, casomai la discussione si vedrà, gioca anche un fatto della forza della resistenza nel territorio istriano, ma anche un elemento razziale, perché nel territorio non siamo tutti uguali dal punto di vista razziale nazista, no? Un italiano o un friulano, come loro dicono, non è uguale a un croato o uno sloveno, come il croato e lo sloveno a loro volta non sono uguali, no? Nei documenti tedeschi dell'ottobre del 43 si dice di andare durante l'operazione di non avere nessuna pietà nei confronti dei croati. Degli sloveni invece bisogna valutare bene se hanno collaborato con la resistenza o se non hanno collaborato. Già lì due elementi per loro slavi, però diversi, perché nel loro concetto razziale l'elemento slavo può essere comunque integrato nel Terzo Reich, mentre l'elemento croato non è così assimilabile.
Sì, questo è vero.
Quindi c'è un peso diverso, no, durante l'operazione.
Quindi diversificazione fra l'elemento sloveno e quello croato.
Sì. Già nel settembre-ottobre del 43, da subito proprio, gli ordini sono quelli.
Yeah, just to translate briefly.
Non è un caso che la strage più grossa dell'Adriatico Circumstran è l'IPA ed è in Istria, e non nel territorio, diciamo, italiano.
Certo. Just a brief to summarize it briefly in English, as we have to differentiate between even if we talk about one single territorial unit, as was the Operationszone Adriatisches Küstenland, we have to diversify between different parts of this region, because if in the western part, which is today part of Italy, more or less the Friuli Venezia Giulia region, we have reprisals against singular members of the resistance movement, while in the eastern part, which is today Istria in Croatia and Slovenia, we mostly have mass murders, and this is or burnings of villages. Why? Because even in the racial policy of the Nazi army, there were different, of course, racial hierarchies, in the sense of an Italian village in the western, or a village in Friuli, was not the same as the village in the Croatian part of Istria, and the Croatian and the village and the people in the Croatian part of Istria were not the same as in the Slovenian part of Istria, where the people could be in some ways racially or used in the idea of the Nazi policy of the territory.
Yes, can I say simply, we have individual guilty in western part and collective guilty in Istria, and that's something that's because of one partisan of member of a fascistic movement, they burned down village.
Yeah.
And all the men in Dachau, all the women in Auschwitz or Ravensbrück.
This is the practice, and this is the difference. And and why they have not changed policy after when this
La risposta sarebbe non hanno altra soluzione, ma non solo qui da noi, anche nel resto del territorio europeo, perché utilizzano le stesse identiche tecniche in Francia contro la resistenza francese, come nell'est europeo, non hanno un'altra tattica. C'è all'interno delle autorità naziste una continua discussione sull'usare la violenza e non usare la violenza. Le tre figure principali dell'Adriatische Küstenland sono Rainer, che è la parte politica, Globocnik, che è la parte invece della polizia, dell'SS, e Kübler che invece è la parte militare. Le tre figure sono in continua discussione e contrasto su quali tattiche usare. Rainer, la parte politica, cerca più la propaganda, cerca più un contatto con la popolazione, non vuole operazioni di massa di deportazione, non vuole incendi e villaggi, e continuano a litigare, si confronta e si scontra continuamente con le autorità dell'SS e con l'esercito, a tal punto che Berlino addirittura invia un ufficiale del Ministero degli Esteri per vedere di mandare una relazione su questo caos che c'è qui all'interno del nostro territorio, per pacificare un po' le tre autorità, spiegandogli che l'unico scopo è quello di distruggere il movimento della resistenza e pacificare il territorio e controllarlo, no, nei confronti della guerra, insomma. Non c'è questo continuo guerra, scontro tra di loro, però alla fine la resistenza continua a crescere, e quindi alla fine l'esercito e le SS diranno dobbiamo aumentare il livello di violenza, no? Quindi man mano che cresce la resistenza cresce la violenza, è un continuo. I tedeschi altra soluzione non trovano, visto che non c'è neanche una risposta politica all'invito che fa Rainer di trovare consenso tra i croati, gli sloveni, gli italiani, non trova molto consenso, la collaborazione c'è ma arriva fino a un certo punto.
Questo perché abbiamo Tece Mamas e Repubblica di Salò. Non only we are not talking here about SS, we are talking about regular Wehrmacht army, and also we are talking about, except Tece Mamas, we are talking about Esercito Repubblica di Salò, and the pattern of destroying, burning villages is the same in Slovakia, in Czechoslovakia, same in Bosnia, same in Serbia, same in Istria, ma not in anche Marzaboto, dove Bologna. Only you have 4 and 5 villages in Italy that they have the same same fate like some Istrian or in Adriatic, Primorje, near the Rijeka county, like Podhum, etc. We have lots of problems, not only Germans and SS. What we have in Istria, we have traitors. Who was the traitor? That's a very good question. Who was he? Slovenian guy, Croat guy, or Italian guy? Who was he? That's the point. We have lots of stories about these traitors. And when we are talking about Globočnik and this part of Reinhardt, this section from organization Reinhardt, they were in the north part, some not too much in Istria. They were in Friuli, Venezia, Giulia, Slovenia, etc. Who was in Istria? Wehrmacht. Who was in Lipa? Wehrmacht and
SS. Italian and then SS.
From Ukraine. Ukraine SS. Travniki. Ukrainians.
Ukraine is only in Trieste.
We have also in Istria. We have Turkmenican forces in Istria.
La Kastver battaglion, il grosso è la Kastver battaglion, dove all'interno ci sono italiani, veneti, istriani, ci sono anche spagnoli addirittura. È un'unità dell'SS che si macchierà del quasi il 50% dei decidi.
Not only SS, we have regular army.
No.
And not only Germans. That's the point.
Not only Germans, yes.
Yeah, sure. This is a this is another very interesting question about the. We always talk about the German army, but then in fact, I mean, if we go deep into the analysis of who are they, then we can find out that I mean we have the whole of Europe involved in the massacres of the population.
To be honest.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, we were always used to talk about the Germans did it, but then in fact, if we go, I mean, we can see that in many units, military units. I mean, Germans were not the only. I mean, if we talk in this aspect, but I want to pass to Marko now, because we heard about violence, how violence was perceived. But now I would like to know more about how it was memorialized. And Marko worked a lot on memory. Now he works on the museum, and I would like to ask him how do societies remember? How do in this you have not really worked on this specific micro region, but in our wider region, I mean, you worked on memories. How our local society remembers the violence of the Second World War.
Borut, hvala za povabilo, Gašper. It's nice to be here, my ex-home at the Institute. My occupation is oral history and memory studies. So I'm not expert for this period, but if you are speaking about violence between Second World War, we have, and memory on the other hand, we have to say that it's very important. I think two things are very important. First thing is if we are speaking about project as you have in this moment, is how we present the oral histories, memories we collect, how we present, because our society now is changing all the time, and the memory as it was immediately after the Second World War by the people who were witnessing these events, and today it's not the same anymore. The context of our or if I say the narration, historical narration has changed. For example, after the Second World War, the narration of the Second World War was fascism, anti-fascism. Today, in our society, after the fall of Berlin Wall, there is a narration, democracy, totalitarianism. So, and all the memories which were suppressed before this fall of the Berlin Wall, they are now free. They flow in our area, and we have to collect these stories. So I will say here, just because we don't have so much time, I will speak about two books by Italian historians, oral historians. One is Alessandro Portelli, L'ordine è già stato eseguito, and the other is Giovanni Contini, La memoria divisa, divided memory, and they're researching in their books happenings in Italy, the atrocities made by German army in Giovanni Contini's case. As you said, they were not SS troops, they were Wehrmacht troops. So this focus just on SS troops is completely, it's
wrong. It's not
it's
wrong, but it's in wrong
it's
direction.
partial.
It's partial. Yeah.
And they're researching in their books the happenings where the people were, after the attacks of partisans, the people were killed, and they had to go into the concentration camps. And the problem, the research problem of these two historians was why the memory after the Second World War changed. Because before, the main narration of the population, when they were speaking with Allied forces, when they were coming to the peninsula and towards Trieste, was the Germans. The Germans were that were in tra virgolette bad guys. But in the 80s, when these two researchers, historians, were collecting memories, the main, let's say, the people who were guilty from these atrocities in the eyes of the testimonials were partisans. And they asked the questions, they asked the question, when this happened, and especially for this kind of project is very important why this happened. And of course the answer where we are talking about memory, about all historians, is always the society. The society has changed. The questions which society gives to the testimonials who survived this very difficult times has changed. And what is important, their memory has changed. So my suggestions were when we are talking and when we are trying as historians to think these difficult times and things that happened to the people, is that we first try to understand the position and the context of the events,
of the time, the context of the time. That's the main
because
point.
We can. They are very valuable. The testimonies, they're very valuable, but we don't. We have not to trust them. We have to ask them questions. So. And the second thing, what I wanted to tell is this: we have to not to step into the, let's say, political debate, which is in that moment in the society. For example, in Slovenian environment, and also in Italy, and also in France, and also in other countries, we have this division, very strong division, which goes from the Second World War, where happened the civil war, in fact, during the war. And also today the memories are divided. And they are seen as something, the memories and the testimonials are used as a political weapon. And for example, my case is in Slovenia, we have, for example, two documentary shows at the moment in our national television. One is Pričevalci, another is Spomini. But the narration of these documentary films, where they are always the people who are in the first plan and they are speaking about their past, more or less difficult past, is this narration, this division, which goes from political environment. But this is wrong. We have to see what people want to tell us from their immanent position. French philosopher Alain Badiou, he wrote a book about 20th century, when he tried to understand 20th century from his profession, philosophy. And he said that we have to understand 20th century from immanent position, from point of view of subject, not from the topic itself. So at this point I finish.
Hvala Marko za to. Memories, different societies, different point of views, and I will use our last guest, Vanni D'Alessio. As I mentioned, he teaches at the University of Naples and at the University of Rijeka, to give us first an insight of the role of this violence, of these memories of violence in different societies. So about your impressions more than real research. Actually, it's more, and I'm asking for your impression. First of all, but also, and I'm going back to what we said before about the transmission of of the knowledge of this violence to other people, and you as a teacher, but at the university, not in a school. So, do you teach this? First, if you teach this period at your courses, and if you teach, do you teach these cases of violence?
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting question, which I didn't expect, but I will try to come to that at the end. And thank you for inviting me. I'm sorry I'm late. It was a long trip and full of unfortunate moments. But so I was also thinking, since I'm not an expert on World War II, in a way I've been studying a little bit World War II, but not doing particular archival research. And I've been into the memory studies a little bit, but I'm not also, I couldn't say that I'm an expert as Marko, who did his PhD on that. He did real research. But there are things that I would like to say, starting from something that I've heard, like I like very much when you said, we did not know, so we talk about things that are there somewhere in the memory. They are personal, private memories, but they are not part of what it becomes an official remembrance. When you say, and then I will go on what you say, when you say that actually in Italy there were things that were coming off in the 80s and the 90s, it's not because these memories were never there, of course. In the celebrations right after World War II, in some moments, especially in central north of Italy, you had a memory which was already there, which was a fresh memory of the widows of the people who were hit by reprisals and of families. And already then there was a problem of partisans. There was a problem of partisans because, in a way, the war is like, in some societies, an immanent thing. It comes and it takes everything. So somehow you have an explanation of that, and you have at least have somebody who started to understand this. You have who've been working on these things. You have also the idea of the Germans as a natural force which is there and will, of course, make the strongest reprisals against whoever is on their way. So there is one reaction to that, which is actually, try not to provoke them, and it's not something that really worked in this area or even that area very much. But this is what this is a discourse which was there in a way, which was there as a liminal, marginal maybe discourse, because the dichotomies which prevailed were, the goods and the bads, the evil, the fascists and the anti-fascists, the occupation liberators, the Germans, So these things were there, but then we have to ask ourselves why these memories, these little oppositions in the society didn't, become part of the official society. In Italy, actually, we have a way in which these things came along the decades, and it's probably because of the Catholic society, because of the divisions in which we still were present in some parts of the society. There is also the thing that in that case you have the oral in the 80s and the 90s interviews that are starting to be made, but there was already the investigation of the Anglo-Americans, so it was there to be reviewed, but it was not studied. There were the trials. So we have some material from the trials. A lot of the things that the 80s and the 90s have been coming out is because of these trials and this investigation. In the Eastern case, trials and investigations is something you don't have because the Anglo-Americans didn't arrive here, so you don't have that. So you have, in a different way, a frozen memory, which doesn't mean that actually there was no, it's something we should challenge the idea of a support. It's just to understand how different local societies reacted. In Italy, you have this thing that actually the these massacres were actually coming along, first of all, the occupation, and then the retreatment, and the fronts, and also the front changing, and the partisan, activities. In this area, you have a very different situation, which has this particularity that it has a population which for years was living in a tense, we could say tense relation with the society. What have some people that have been studying this, and like Contini, but also Pezzino, but Paggi, have seen that when the memories have been more divided in this local microcosms, and is where there is an idea of, at least from some people there, which say, okay, we lived in harmony, we were all like together, and then okay, the German occupation, but then the partisan came, and then everything started. But when there was already a division, like a social division, a political division, and in the villages, when this division was taking place already, there were, so as it was in some parts of central north Italy, but as it was everywhere in Istria and in the Adriatic littoral that was then occupied by Nazis, already there was, clusters, and there were cuts between the society, and there was a tension there. Then, of course, in this case, the memory actually goes in a different pattern. So it's also harder to contest it. And of course, then you have a problem of the people, because what happens also in these massacres is that you have to choose at some point. There is no, and then the society at some point has to find their own places, and we have a problem in this area of some people who left. So those memories are not there anymore, in a way. So this is some ideas that came to me, like listening to you, but also reasoning about this problem. And in general, I think so. It's very important the connection between microcosm of the different little society and how this occupation was taking place and which were the forces, So there was a lot of, I think, strategies which were very common, but then again it was very different ways in which the local society was answering to this. Now coming back to, do I teach it? Well, I teach mostly 19th century, so, so it's a hard question for me, but when I teach sometime also 20th century, but more on this area, and I think this is I always thought why there is no project, and I'm very happy because I saw that you participated to the Atlante delle stragi nazifasciste, and I think this projects, because I saw there is LIPA, I saw there are many cases also on this area. I don't like the thing that they are considering this atlas of fascist, Nazist massacres in Italy. Then there is a section for former Italian area or foreign areas. And I think this should be like either Slovenian or Croatian, or maybe divided by regions, because then you don't really understand the local context, which is very important. And also, there is so many stone memories, and this is probably the challenge. The stone memories that you have in all these villages, which is incredible, because you have in every village you have this, places where it's, and John Klodič started to make a little investigation of that, using that as a source, which can be contested because sometimes it's reliable, but there are usually many more names which don't come, and sometimes we don't know really why some people are in the victims or as fighters. This is a problem that we. So I think these things of going back to the families and to what remains with what we have from the sources, should really try to get together.
I saw 200 these stone memories in eastern villages, and you have 90% the very strong division who died in anti-fascistic movement, who died in concentration camp, and who is the victim of the Nazi Nazi-fascist invasion. In East you have division.
And you had also division which how these people could get some benefits, right? Was it right? Because this is something which is really interesting.
That's another question. That's very, very wide question. We don't have the time for this because, but what you said, villages in Istria are very small villages. Everybody knows everybody, and if somebody is on the is on the stone and he's not belonging to the village, that's not correct. That's you have very less examples, but you have lots of them who died from example one village. They are not in stone, and that's also some problem. But we don't have time to discuss this.
Grazie Vanni, hvala. Zdaj smo nekako zaključili za prvi del vprašanj, ki sem jaz tukaj z svojimi gosti. Zdaj pa nekako odpiram prostor za vaša vprašanja, vaše komentarje. Smo že o tej temi govorili že dobro uro, zato dajte prosim vaše misli strniti, da bomo lahko potem dobili od naših sogovornikov več odgovorov, več mnenj. Abbiamo concluso questa prima parte questo primo giro di risposte, di idee, di considerazioni. Adesso lascio la parola a voi per chi vuole fare qualche commento, fare qualche domanda. Vi prego di essere concisi. I will repeat it in English. So if someone has any, so this is the end of the first part of the first round of questions. But if someone has any, and now I will leave the floor to you. I already got some questions from by email, and if someone following us live from other places, please feel free to write me. I can see your comments here on my laptop, and but please be concise, so we can have more time for the answers of our guests, because we still have, let's say, 15 to 20 minutes. So, prosim, prego. Gospod, pa ste vi?
Dobro, to pa kar slovensko.
Ja, seveda, potem bomo.
Če bi spoštovani gospodje, ki ste iz akademskega, mi objasnili tole, ker se pravi, gospod, če gremo samo za 10 sekund po Prvo svetovno vojno, ne se bat, ne bom nič tam ostal, ko je končalo, ko je Woodrow Wilson prišel v Evropo, so potem oni to pačkrat razdelili. Pa je tam vzel malo od Nemčije, to pa dal Češko, Čehoslovaško, vi poznate tole, tisti sudeti nemške bilo. Potem pele, razumete, Italija je bila malo razočarana, ker je mislila, da bo še več dobila. Je dobila tisto, kar je pač in trinčeje tam iz Orco front pač zaslužila. In tako da hočete, da potem ni šlo več naprej, zdaj je pa nekaj drugega. Nemčijo so pa prekleli do konca, kot to. Tole, vi ste krivi, zakaj ste krivi, je vprašal Cetja. Vaš Vilem Sekondo, on ni čist nič naredil, da bi cesarja našega presvetega Franca Jožefa prišel, ne je to vojno, pusti mir, ne navaliti zdaj na Srbe, daj si mir, Cetja, niste nič naredili. Veš, dobro, Avstrija, ni več postmortem, ampak vse je se izčarila Nemčijo. Poslušajte, ko je končala, ko je tole končala, je morala Nemčija takšne reparacione plačati, vse, kar je od navadnega celo če se v metalurgiji, kot tisti koks, vse je treba, vse Anglijo in Francijo. In seveda, zdaj se je pa zgodilo nekaj, da je čist navaden človek, ki ni imel niti gospod, eno izobrazbo, ki vam niti do pod kolena ne prije, izobrazbo razgledanem. To zveste, kako se je trebal, Adolf se je imenoval. Mi se bomo pa uprli tole, takšno sramoto, takole ponižati Nemce, no eto, vi ste isto napravili tiste tedeschi kativi iz tega. Če bi mi tole gospod povedal, a to drži, to velja, da so res tako, da je končala prva svetovna vojna, da so tako slabo to naredili, kar tako pomešali, Madžarski vzeli to, ti boš bil malo ono, jaz bom ta, tako da je bilo že kar pripravljeno vse na drugo svetovno vojno. Čist kratki komentar, gospodje, ki vem, da nekdo od vas mi bo to mogel povedati, če to zdaj drži, ne bi ali kaj. Govori se o tem, da so ljudje, recimo, ko je končalo, v Berlinu, so vozili okoli nekaj toplo juho, zdaj sploh juha, pa so ti zdelili, ki je bila popolna mižerja. Pravi, dajte narediti tako, kot delajo Sovjet-Rusi, zdaj veste, oni so pa imeli tako, da so vsaj nekaj zajemalkali dali v tem mestu. Potem je lahko prišel en človek, razumete, čist, ma ne more se on primerjati z vam, niti do palca. In potem so popolj naredili sovražno Nemčijo. Glavno tega je pa veliko kriva Velika Britanija, ker ona si je pa nakopala toliko kolonij in toliko sila, seveda, da je Nemčija tudi bila zainteresirana, da bi to malo zelo zdrav. Dobro, gospodje, hvala lepa. Hvala za odgovor.
Prav, bomo kar zbrali, če še kako vprašanje, to mogoče združimo potem odgovore na vsa vprašanja. So, if you have other questions, more questions, so we'll just collect and maybe have more answers to more questions. Če imaš še kdo kako vprašanje, mogoče, da... Ja, izvolite.
Zdravo, Kovator. Gospod avtor, ki ste knjige tam, je povedal, kako so nas imeli Darjane proti jugu, tako, ne? In to me je spomnilo na en detalj pred 10 let, verjetno, ko Italijani se navdušeno hvalijo, koliko Judov so rešili pred holokaustom in tako. In sem napisal en dopis, sem ga poslal na Piccolo, pa na Trieste Oggi, pa na tole Voce del Popolo. Koliko Slovencev ali Hrvatov so italijanski funkcionarji, ne navaden človek, da funkcionarji rešili pred fašisti in pred nacisti. Piccolo je objavil, Trieste Oggi je objavil tam na neki strani, tam v kotu, unile Voce del Popolo je pa povedal, je upozoril na primer Lipe, kjer je ena domačinka bila prijateljica menda z enim črnosrajčnikom, tam v Rupi, ki je povedal, da jih bodo sesuli in zažgali ne vem kaj, in je pripovedovala menda ljudem, pa jih niso verjeli. In nobenega drugega primera od dol, Italijani imajo svojo skupino tja dol do Kotora, nobenega drugega primera, da bi bili Italijani reševali tudi kakšne žlave. Niti enega primera, razen tega. No pa še en odvir za konec. Kot vemo, je Hitler 30. aprila 1945 skupaj z njegovo ženičko Ljubico gorel tja do poznih večernih ur. V Koper so pa partizani prihajali po 17. uri popoldan istega dne. Tako da se tisti dan sesul tudi Brig na Adria. Samo zato, da so ga pred nekaj leti odprodali, zato da so dali cirku 40 milijonov, ki so jih bogi redi bili dolžni, pa je. Hvala lepa.
Hvala lepa. Mogoče, če imaš še kdo, če ne bom jaz prebral nekaj vprašanj, ki jih dobivamo sproti preko spleta. I'll just collect some more questions, because we have some more questions coming from people who is following us live. So the first question is, why are you all men? Were there some women among the perpetrators of violence, or is this a men domain? The first question, the very question. It's not our fault that we are all men.
He or she don't know.
Is just our Kaja Shira from the museum from Ljubljana. She was not able to attend it, so it's And I don't know if it's a main domain.
3 ladies.
Yeah, 3 ladies were invited,
so
and
at
actually,
least half of us are substitutes.
yeah, actually, yeah. I mean, yeah, actually, we were thinking to be really gender correct, in the sense that we half and half, but unfortunately, no one of our ladies colleagues made it. So this is the answer to why only men. And but it's a good question. I mean, do we know about female violence perpetrators? Maybe if we know something about it. But this is not the only good question. I have another question. This is precisely to Marko Klavora. You talked that memory was used as political tools, and that we have to approach memory from an immanent position and not a political one. Not could you please explain in some in more details how could we divide individual memory from let's call it, this is the term that they used, political memory. Isn't every form of social memory political itself? And some more questions. So please take notes, because these are questions to you. Some of the war crimes committed in Istria are beyond the acceptable war practices. This is in brackets. Did you try to include the elements of sociology and psychology of soldiers in your research to cover this topic? So what is this part of the research related, so the psychology of soldiers and in this so maybe we can start with these questions and then maybe answer other questions from the public, because we would need 2 or 3 round tables to answer the first question. To bi morali mi organizirati med 3-dnevno konferenco, da bi odgovorili še v 19. stoletje, stopiti je mogoče se še malo o tem potem pogovorijo. So maybe we can just start from these questions that are much bit more precise. So what about women perpetrators? What about political memory, individual memory, collective memory, and so on? And also, what about the acceptable work practices? Even if I'm not sure that they are acceptable and unacceptable, there are some very strict definitions of what you can do in war, what you can't do. But of course, this is good questions about what a psychological point of view, if in the project. But also, and that's just last question, and then I will stop and leave the floor to you. Can you explain the methodology of your research and gathering memories, and what kind of memories? A researcher here did research in Žejane and knows that memorials were erected and commemorations done and called after post-war documents that vary in details. Okay, I'm not sure that I got it. This question, but it's about the methodology of research and how to gather memories.
I can
maybe we can
first about women. We didn't find. I can say there was no woman in this brigades who did crimes. I don't know. Maybe it was, but mostly they said it was that unit, and all the people said they talked about men. And I don't know, maybe, but we have women traitors. We have women traitors. You have several reasons why she is traitor. Several reasons, but we didn't find that woman do some massacres. About psychology, we didn't find it, because we tried to find. We have some other testimonies from the Second World War in the former Yugoslavia, but we don't have. If we found something, but all of these people are mostly dead, these soldiers, etc. That's very big, very huge job to do, to firstly to found the memories, and after that to analyze these memories. We'll be glad if we can find something, we can include this in our research. And this third question about methodology. When we started with this project 10 years ago, 11 years ago, Istarske sudbine, we had some questions. We borrowed the questions from Documenta Zagreb, from Jasenovac, about questions about Second World War and about concentration camps. But my colleague and I, we were in USA, in Jerusalem, and about Holocaust studies, some seminars, and we find a way how to divide questions in some groups. The first group, the life before Second World War, the life in the war, life after the war. But on the field, research field, we develop our own methodology because we have the questions about Eastern society, about Eastern people in first half of the century. Not only about the war, about ordinary life, about love, about sport, about some festas, etc. And we developed it. We are still developing, but we are doing this 10 years, and we are still learning. That was. We have the help from some methodologists from Rijeka University, also from Varta Verčneva, she helped us, and some other type of questions we develop on our side.
Thank you very much. Vorrei tornare un attimo sulla questione delle donne e violenza. Nelle ricerche del libro compaiono donne come autrici della violenza?
Direttamente no.
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 Quindi quelli che fanno violenza sono gli uomini.
Diciamo che perché le violenze che avvengono durante il periodo dell'occupazione sono violenze, diciamo, che si legano a un momento militare, a un momento di operazione militare, che sia la Wehrmacht, che sia l'SS, che siano le unità di collaborazioniste italiane, fasciste o slovene, e quindi in quell'area l'unità femminile non c'è.
Certo.
No? Come invece c'è contrariamente nell'Olocausto. Nell'Olocausto
appunto, come per esempio come torturatrici compaiono anche donne o no?
Ma ad esempio alla Risiera no, anche durante il processo emergono le donne come collaborazioniste che lavorano, no? Raccolgono le informazioni, no? Servono, quindi anche loro comunque contribuiscono, diciamo,
certo.
Ma non c'è la violenza diretta. No? Ma anche facendo l'Atlante delle stragi, facendo una statistica, è venuto fuori che anche come vittime le donne sono di meno rispetto alle altre zone d'Italia. No? Questo tenendo fuori l'Istria. Calcoliamo che nell'Atlante delle stragi, no, l'Istria non è stata conteggiata, no? Quindi Adriatici, Kusteland e Monco, no? Manca un pezzo che è importantissimo. E nel nostro territorio la gran parte sono uomini. Questo, no, è un dato che ha un po' colpito, nel senso che ci si aspettava, visto che la violenza qui era molto forte, molto elevata, ci si aspettava un numero elevato anche di donne, vecchi, bambini, come in altre regioni d'Italia. Qual è la differenza? La differenza grossa è la mancanza del fronte qua da noi. Non c'è il vero fronte di combattimento, non c'è la linea del fronte. È una linea che sfuma qua da noi, non c'è. E la linea del fronte si vede, il grosso delle vittime civili dove sono in Italia? La Toscana, l'Emilia Romagna, dove c'è quella linea del fronte che avanza. E lì, durante la tattica tedesca, quella sulla linea del fronte si fa proprio terra bruciata completamente, no? E non si accetta assolutamente la presenza di nessuno in quelle aree militari, quindi chiunque viene preso lì non c'è neanche un processo, diciamo, è comunque un partigiano, è un oppositore, è un nemico e va distrutto, va annientato, no? Ecco che abbiamo visto nelle statistiche che il numero delle donne vittime nel nostro territorio è molto minore rispetto alle altre zone. Questo forse ci indica che qui alla fine lo scontro è stato più nei confronti della resistenza e meno, in parte, no, nei confronti della popolazione civile, cosa che secondo me, quando si faranno i dati definitivi sull'Istria ci dirà una cosa completamente diversa.
infatti,
Perché
quindi.
una cosa è il Friuli Venezia Giulia, una cosa è l'Istria. I pochi dati che avevo io dell'Istria invece ci parla invece di donne, uomini, no? Soprattutto nel settembre-ottobre del 43 le operazioni militari, in realtà i partigiani si staccano subito, non c'è un vero e proprio scontro, no? Ma i dati delle vittime sono molto elevati, si parla di 2500 persone, ma in realtà di quei 2500 persone che i tedeschi definiscono tutti come Banditen, e invece se si va a vedere le vittime sono civili, gran parte, proprio perché i partigiani si sono sganciati e sono scappati, e molte donne, no? Cosa che invece nel resto del nostro territorio la cifra è diversa.
Grazie. To summarize briefly, no, there were not women. They are not involved in directly in violence. Indirectly, they are present as collaborators of the occupying forces, but in studies up to now, they do not. They're not massively present. While in some other parts of Italy are bigger numbers, not as involved in violence, but as victims of violence. I would like to pass and go on the questions about memories and political and are memories always political?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you
Yeah.
for a very good question. Maybe I was not clear. I'm sure that I was not clear before. Of course, every memory needs politics, because just to decide what we forget, what we remember, is just one step in politics of memory. So, from that point of view, every remembrance needs some politics behind. But before I was referring to politics in sense of use of testimonies. Use of narration, which is produced by people, to political means, of course. And I was referring I was entering that kind of debate. So if I go back, individual memory, collective memory, social memory, whatever word we use, it is always connection with some choices the community or state or individual makes. So what I was trying to say was that it's very important that we as historians who are entrancing in this kind of project, as you, Gašper, and your institute entrancing, that we have in mind that what is our goal, what we want to do with this kind of projects. If we want to entrance debate in politics spectrum, for me this is not right entrance. For me, example, I'm working in the field of oral history. I always entrance history from the point of view of individual. It's very important to understand the position of that individual. So I try to divide what is his individual memory, what is a memory which he accepted by the media debate, by the historical books, by television. So I was referring to this kind of research before.
Okay, thank you very much. I think
maybe I can answer the question on methodology.
Yeah, sure.
Briefly. This project is more like a pilot study. So what we did were that we collected interviews, the oral sources, usually using the method of snowball, as we say. You meet someone who witnessed this events and then ask him if he knows someone else, and so on and so on. Of course, we contacted the societies, cultural societies, communities, partisan societies and so on, but not all, not only that. Another part was, of course, archival research, where we, for example, collected numbers of how many houses were burned, and so on and so on. So more numerical, but also other information, and of course also newspapers. So, but lots of this material still needs to be analyzed. So the question on sociological and psychological aspects, that is something we did gather that material, which could be later on analyzed also from the point of view of psychology, sociology, anthropology. But we still, well, we have to apply for another project.
Yeah, sure. So there's still
one thing I want to
yeah.
add. I think it's one important thing is to focus studies on how, when there are these individual memories, they are scattered, and when, how, and in which way these memories then found their way, or how were blocked by the social phenomenon. Because when we're talking about historians working on this, we both have a contact with Gabriela Gribaldi, who is head of the oral history, one of the organizations who does oral history. She said in one of her articles, that exists when you decide, to remember it, which is a very strong thing, because actually you have a lot of memories of very, violent situations which never came to the surface. And now we have, this is, the task probably, to understand why and how these things were not really silenced, they didn't come to a political debate.
And what is most important is context. Always we have to go back to the context, always ask questions to the context, because without the context, without this knowledge of micro connection between the people, between the perpetrators, between peasants, between partisans, resistance movement, without this knowledge, which is for every village, for every state a little bit different, without this knowledge we are entering in this debate I was talking about before, into the politics. So it's very, very important to be always there, not forget this.
Sulla memoria gioca un fattore tanto forte anche quello che era la propaganda dell'epoca. Quindi il ruolo che ha la propaganda nazista, fascista all'epoca gioca, quando ricostruisci la memoria successivamente rimane dietro un po' quel seme del partigiano è colpevole, siamo venuti perché c'erano i partigiani, abbiamo colpito perché c'erano i partigiani, anche quando a volte ricostruendo le vicende ti accorgi che i partigiani lì non hanno attaccato, è solo la presenza stessa dei partigiani in quell'area che crea poi una rappresaglia, ma non è un atto, un attacco. Però la propaganda gioca molto, la famosa mostra contro i che gira per tutto l'Adriatici Küsterland, una mostra sul bolscevismo, e gira e vuole spiegare alla popolazione locale qual è il pericolo dei partigiani che sono l'avanguardia del bolscevismo, e quindi il pericolo che possono portare queste persone, il comunismo, il bolscevismo, la morte e la distruzione della società, una mostra che girerà per tutto il territorio, no? Propaganda che ha elementi politici e elementi razziali insieme.
Che lascia poi i suoi semi.
I semi li lascia dopo alla fine, nella memoria si nota tantissimo, no? Dove non sono riusciti i tedeschi, non hanno vinto, ma hanno lasciato però il seme, no? E nella memoria questo emerge di nuovo.
Ok, znači da imamo još puno posla i ako nema drugih pitanja, če ni drugih vprašanj, io direi di...
Če dovoliš.
Ja, seveda, Lucy.
Zanima me,
Ja.
Če ste pri vašem raziskovanju našli recimo pripadnike drugih narodnosti v okviru nemške armade, ker jaz se spomnim mojih staršev, da so govorili, da so Mongoli bili najhujši, da so se vsi bali, da so to Ukrajinci verjetno. Koliko je bila prisotnost teh ljudi, teh veliko drugih narodnosti, če so kaj ugotovili?
Ja vam mogu odgovoriti ovoga, pogotovo kod sela Barbići, to je na Labinštini. Dobro, može se naći koja je bila postrojba, koja je bila jedinica i onda se može rekonstruirati koji su bili ljudi. Međutim, ljudi su pričali po selima što su preživjeli da, znači osim Njemaca, da je bilo puno domaćih, da se taj domaćin osjećao, vjerojatno osjećao fašistom, ali da su, recimo u selu Barbići su rekli da su bili Ukrajinci, kaže pričaju ko ruski. Znate, a imamo dokumente da su bili tamo u Istri turkmenistanski pukovi, u Opatiji bio turkmenistanski puk i tako dalje. Vjerojatno ih je bilo, ali konkretno znamo za selo Barbići da su, kaže, bili, vjerojatno 99% bili Ukrajinci. Kaže, mi smo ih razumjeli kako pričaju. Znači, slavenski jezik, znate. To je, za to znam.
To se pravi, turke strane su bili tudi tam.
Da. A, i turkmenistanci su isto pričali ruski.
Sì, c'è l'unità che prima si parlava degli ucraini, non sono tanto quell'unità di ucraini che arriva con l'azione Reinhardt, quanto è la divisione turkmena che arriva qui nel territorio in due fasi, subito nel fine del 43 e poi tornerà, dopo verrà spedita al fronte italiano e ritornerà poi di nuovo sul territorio e verrà stabilizzata, verrà adibita soprattutto alla zona più orientale del Friuli Venezia Giulia e poi anche in Istria, no?
Seconda parte del 44.
Nella seconda parte del 44 torna a due fasi, va e torna. Ed era una curiosità che io ormai la ricerca ad esempio all'istituto, all'archivio tedesco, la documentazione di tutte le divisioni era disponibilissimo, aperto, tranne della 162esima turkestana, che aveva tutta una documentazione fotografica che era, io sono nato là nel 99 e veniva riaperto nel 2012 mi pare. Era una delle poche documentazioni che era ancora sotto segretate, mentre tutto il resto era tutto aperto.
Perché?
Non dicevano, parlando lì con l'archivio, il Bundesarchivio, dicevano siccome gran parte della documentazione era di non tedeschi, no, l'avevano segretata.
Sem pa ljudje dali to označbo Mongoli, ne, ker se pojavlja po celotnem tem področju, ker so bili, čeprav ni šlo za...
Ne, pa ljudje po pričevanju mojih staršev so se jih bali. Zato zaradi izgleda ali zaradi aktivnosti.
To vprašanje nam ostaja še odprto za naprej. Kot se seveda projekt zaključi, je dobro, ali pa se bo v kratkem zaključil, se potem dava reči, da je potrebno več delati, da se še enega potem nadaljuje. Tako da upam, da tudi mi nadaljevali s temi raziskavami. Zdaj smo tu že skoraj 2 uri, tako da se vam jaz nekako zahvaljujem za pozornost. Upam, da bomo še uspeli organizirati taka srečanja. Upam, da smo se razumeli. Nadam se, da smo se svi razumjeli. in this multilingual approach. The idea is, actually my idea was to have a trilingual roundtable with Slovenian, Croatian and Italian, and but 3 are not enough, so we added the 4th language, English, and but I hope in
Fali nam njemački, glavni jezik
da,
nam fali.
fali nam njemački, also, nächstes Mal. Sljedeći put ćemo još na njemačkom.
Više autentičnije. Molto autentico, tedesca.
Io vi ringrazio per aver partecipato, vi ringrazio dell'attenzione. Vas se zahvaljujem seveda svim puno hvala koji ste bili na netu s nama za vaša pitanja. Nadam se da je bilo v redu. Tako da vas vabim še na druge inicijative, dogodke, ki jih bomo organizirali v sklopu tega in drugih projektov, in se vam prav lepo zahvaljujem za vašo pozornost. Hvala, grazie, thank you very much.